Lalo Salamanca, and the Homelander. What do these two guys have in common? Is it their dashing good looks, their wonderful personalities, their sex appeal? Yes, all that yes. But the reason I bring them up is because to me, these are the two most compelling villains on television, and here's why. For a long time, watching The Boys, I was just glued to the screen every time Homelander came on, and he's truly one of the most frightening and terrifying people we have on television right now. It's a combination of the power of a god and what that would be like in a modern society, and what if that god was unhinged is what makes him so compelling. Especially in season 2, as he's growing more unhinged, every time Homelander is on screen, I feel like I'm having a panic attack, because he could literally end the life of anybody in moments if he chooses. If you look at him wrong, I feel the anxiety of Starlight, and it's terrifying to be around him. And what makes him also compelling is his tragic backstory. He's not a one-note villain where he's just nuts for the sake of being nuts. His upbringing was tragic. He's the opposite of the Superman, where Superman was raised with parents and with love. He was raised in a lab and callously with no love, and almost made out to be just like an experiment, which really messed with his psyche. So the entire time, he has this weird mom complex. It's really disturbing and disgusting, but it's also so interesting. You're like, what's wrong with this dude? What? It's disgusting. It keeps you glued to the screen, man. It really does. His childhood leaves him so damaged that he just wants to be loved, and he puts the love of people he doesn't know above all else. A lot of his purpose for being who he is comes from the adoration he gets from the public. And this is so telling, where he's willing to give up his own son just so the public still sees him as a hero. That kind of writing is just what makes him so good. Yes, his powers are terrifying. He's unhinged. He's mentally insane. But it's the fact that he is a tragic figure who has suffered a lot. And you feel bad for him in the sense that no one deserves to be brought up like that. What if we were brought up without love and care in this world? Who knows how we'd turn out? But it's the combination of his upbringing with his powers, frankly, that just makes him a powerhouse of a villain. And I've been saying it for months that he is the best villain on television. It's just everything that goes into him that makes him who he is. And let's not forget that he's played by the incredible Anthony Starr, who gives an Emmy-level performance as Homelander, which the fact he hasn't been nominated yet is just disgusting. And the fact that we sided with Homelander in season 2 over a fucking Nazi goes to show that there are some redeemable qualities within him. But then again, why would we ever side with a Nazi, right? So I thought he was the best villain on television until season 6 of Better Call Saul. And now Lalo Salamanca has moved up to be tied with Homelander. When Lalo was introduced into Better Call Saul, I was iffy on him. I'm a man who's seen the show. Currently, I'm on my 6th watch through of it. And the first 2 times that I watched season 4 and 5, I wasn't feeling him that much. I don't know what it was. I didn't connect with him. But as season 5 went along, I began to connect with him more. And I realized that this guy is so good. He's more of that old school archetype type villain where he doesn't have a tragic upbringing. There's not a lot of nuance or layer to him per se. But that's not why we love him. That's what differentiates him from Homelander, who has that tragic backstory, the nuance, all that. Lalo is more one note and super villainy-ish, if that makes sense. He is just a thorn in the side of Gus Fring. He wants to uncover Gus Fring's operation, and he wants to bring him down. But the reason we love him is because of his cunning. He is so smart. He is so cunning. He is so adaptable. He is so deadly. And the most important part, he is so charming, and that's why we love him. He is the most deadly Salamanca, and it's not for his physical prowess, for his tendency to violence, like Tuco, or like his uncle. It's because he lulls you into this sense of warmth and safety with his charm, when in all reality, he's a fucking psychopath. Or a sociopath, whatever one it is. We love him because of how he makes us fall in love with him, and then he yanks our heart out. And he does it again and again and again. And we already don't like Gus Fring, so it's good to see someone take it to Gus Fring. And watching all that, it's a great chess match between Gus, Mike, and Lalo. And The fact that Lalo is keeping up with these two shows just how intelligent he is. But it wasn't until the final episode of season 5 where Lalo really became a top tier villain for me. Still under Gus in Breaking Bad, but he became a top tier villain with that final shootout and how he escaped and how he survived it using his smarts, his cunning, and his ruthlessness where, spoilers, when they make the attempt on his life, he got out through a tunnel. He could have left, but he had the idea of, let me go back and finish him off and fake my death. That's why I said he's so adaptable. He's so good at calling audibles last second in the heat of the moment. And it worked for him. He was able to fend off all those hitmen and to then fake his death. That right there pushed him up for me. And it just blew my mind. And everything before that was good. He was intimidating, charming, but that moment is what really pushed him up the ranks. But then we get to season 6 and we see the other side of Lalo, the even more ruthless side. We open with him and that sweet Mexican family. And the entire time I just have anxiety. I'm like, is Lalo going to hurt these people? I was terrified. And that's the kind of fear that Lalo instills in you because he's being so charming, so sweet. He's the type of guy, he can make you fall in love with him and he'd take you out to dinner and you'd have a great time. And then at the end of the night, without even thinking, he slits your throat. As I'm watching the scene, my heart is beating. And then I see the husband come out and my heart sank. I'm like, he kind of looks like Lalo. And the whole time they were talking about his dental records and how he got his teeth fixed. It shows you the cunning and the ruthlessness of Lalo. He nurtured this family. He loved this family. He took care of them for years just so that one day, you never know, it might happen, but if he did, so he could fake his death. And the fact that he goes after this family without even caring, probably without even flinching, and just kills them is heartbreaking, but it shows you the ruthlessness of Lalo Salamanca. No one will stand in his way. No one will stop him. He will go to any depth to get his revenge. And the fact that he fakes his death that way is so incredibly smart and genius. What a way to write him. And what really raises his stock as a villain is just how terrified he has the master of crime, Gus Fring. Lalo does not appear for 2 to 3 episodes, but he dominates every single episode. The tension in the air is so thick you could cut it with a knife because we feel his presence and we're afraid. We don't know what his plan is. He could pop out at any moment and we're terrified like Gus. And he has Gus shitting his pants. And I love to see that. This just takes Lalo up to a whole other level. And when we finally see him, we see him in Germany and we're like, wow, this dude traveled to the other side of the world just to get his revenge. And it just goes more and more into his revenge angle. And it shows him and Gus Fring are not very different. They're both chasing revenge, but in different ways. And again, it shows the ruthlessness of Lalo because he's willing to kill this sweet woman who's already suffered the death of her husband if he has to. He doesn't want to. Maybe he does. He doesn't care. But he's ready to kill her like it's nothing. And then we see him track down one of Werner's boys and just kills him. No problem at all. Like nothing. He lulls him into a false sense of security with his charm. He has the box cutter and slices him. And it's over from there. Just ruthless. And then the moment that really solidified Lalo as the best Breaking Bad universe villain of all time and the best villain on television right now, along with Homelander, was season 6, episode 7. Plan and execution. How do you raise your stock as a villain? You kill a beloved character. And the way he so coldly and callously took out Howard was heartbreaking. And it just raised the stakes even higher. And it just pushed him into a new stratosphere for me. And I'll leave it there for Lalo. So yeah, guys, all in all, these are my 2 best villains in all of television. I don't think it gets better than these 2. I'm sure there's other villains I left out. But to me, these are the ones that leave me in a state of panic and anxiety every time they're on screen because they're so unpredictable that you just don't know what they're going to do. You have the insane mania of Homelander and his psychoticness and his unpredictability along with the powers and a tragic backstory that makes him compelling. And then you have Lalo, who has less layers to him, but it's his charm, his ruthlessness, his penchant for violence, all that combined is what makes him compelling. And then you put these two together and they are the best villains on television. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. Who are some villains that you think I left out? Let me know. Thanks.